The production of men's ready-to-wear clothing in the United States began in earnest during the Civil War. Women's ready-to-wear apparel, however, did not see significant growth until the turn of the century. One of the first mass-produced items of women's fashion was the white cotton shirtwaist. The shirtwaist was part of most women's wardrobes, and the bulk of its manufacture took place in New York. There were numerous factories located in New York City that employed recently arrived Italian and Jewish immigrants. These women worked in harsh conditions for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and made only $7 to $12 a week, or about 14 cents per hour. In 2021 dollars, that would be about $3.75 an hour and an 84-hour work week. While the labor movement for garment workers had begun as early as 1834 at the Lowell textile mills in Massachusetts, significant progress had not been made in labor reforms. It was not until the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire that the general population began to support considerable change in workers' safety. On March 25, 1911, a fire broke out at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, most likely having started in the rag bin. 500 employees worked on the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors. In total, 145 workers died in the fire, with the youngest victim being 14 and the oldest 43. The owners were prosecuted for the deaths of the workers due to numerous safety violations, including locking the doors from the outside, failing to have the required number of staircases, and having a defective fire escape. They were found not guilty. The verdict sparked outrage throughout the country, and efforts to pass improved labor laws began in earnest. This dress, from 1915 to 16, in the Historic Costume and Textiles collection, is one example showing evidence of those efforts. It's been stored in a box recently because it's now too fragile to put on a dress form. But if you want to see what it would look like on a body, you can visit our fashion2fiber.osu.edu web gallery. That's fashion2fiber.osu.edu. It features a label from the National Consumers League, an organization whose aim was to, quote, bring the will of the enlightened buyer to bear on the evils of inadequate wages, long hours, seasonal employment, and unsanitary surroundings, which at present hamper women's and girls', unquote. The label was part of the Consumers' White Label campaign created by Florence Kelly. It began in 1898 and ended in 1918. The label was meant to help consumers differentiate between items made under healthful and sanitary conditions and those not. For a factory to have permission to use the label, it had to obey state factory law, including all goods on premises had to be approved by the league, the maximum working hours were 10 per day and 55 per week, and lastly, girls under the age of 16 were not employed. The National Consumers League hoped to bring the conditions of working women and young girls in garment factories to the attention of middle-class consumers. They believed that by engaging these women and educating them through public programs, they in turn would put pressure on local and federal governments to ensure safer working conditions through labor reform. The other labels in the dress are for the manufacturer, where the dress was made, and for the store, where the dress was sold.